In a small village nestled deep within a valley, there lived an old master named Elias. Elias was known for his incredible skill in carving grand statues out of solid granite. People from across the land would travel for days just to catch a glimpse of his work, which was said to hold a spirit of its own. Among his apprentices was a young, ambitious man named Kyle. Kale was perhaps the most naturally gifted student Elias had ever taken on, but he had a problem. He was obsessed with the noise of success. Whenever he finished even a small portion of a carving, he would run into the village square to show it off. He would spend hours describing the masterpiece he was going to create, soaking in the praise of the townspeople before the work was even half finished. One morning, Elias called Kel to the back of his workshop, where a massive, untouched block of black marble sat. Kyle, Elias said softly, I am leaving for the mountain heights for 2 months. While I am gone, I want you to carve the spirit of the valley from this stone. But there is one condition. You must work in absolute silence. You are not to speak of your progress to anyone, not even to the wind. If you break the silence, the work will fail. Kel was ecstatic. He imagined the festival that would be held when the master returned to see his brilliance. For the first week, he worked with ferocity. But by the second week, the silence began to feel heavy. He desperately wanted to tell his friends about the perfect curve of the statue's wing. Every time he suppressed the urge to brag, he felt a strange pressure building inside him. Left with no other outlet, Cale began to channel that pent-up energy directly into his chisel. Usually, he would waste his inspiration describing the work. Now he was forced to show it in the stone. Midway through the month, a group of villagers passed by the workshop. Kyle, they shouted, tell us, is it going to be the greatest statue we've ever seen? Are you finally a master? Kel's ego screamed to answer. He wanted to shout that he was surpassing even Elias, but he remembered the condition. He kept his head down and continued to strike the marble. Clink, clink, clink. The villagers left, whispering that Cale had grown arrogant. The misunderstanding stung, but Cale remained silent. In that silence, something miraculous happened. Cale began to hear the stone. He felt the subtle vibrations of the marble and knew exactly where it was strong and where it was brittle. Without the noise of public opinion, his mind became as clear as a mountain lake. He wasn't carving to be seen anymore. He was carving to be. He realized that by speaking of his plans in the past, he had been leaking his power. Now, with the valve shut tight, that pressure was transforming common stone into something divine. 2 months passed. Elias returned and walked into the workshop. He found Kyle sitting quietly, covered in gray dust, staring at the floor. He hadn't spoken a word in 60 days. Elias pulled the cloth off the statue. He didn't gasp or cheer. He simply stood in a long, respectful silence. The statue didn't just look like a spirit. It felt as though it were breathing. You have learned the greatest lesson, Elias finally said. Cale looked up, his eyes calm. Master, he whispered, I used to think success was the applause at the end. But I realize that success is actually the quiet of the room while you are doing the work. Elias nodded. Most people fail because they celebrate before they have won. They trade the greatness of the finish line for the small comforts of the journey. They tell the world what they are going to do, and in doing so, they satisfy the ego just enough to lose the hunger to actually do it. The highest peaks are the quietest places on earth. They do not need to scream to be noticed. Their height speaks for itself. Just like Cale, many of us are tied to the need for validation. We post our goals before we achieve them. We announce our plans for a new business or a lifestyle change and feel a hit of dopamine from the likes and comments we receive. But that praise is a trap. It tricks your brain into thinking the task is already done. This is why so many people start projects with a bang and end them with a whimper. They spend all their fuel on the announcement and had nothing left for the climb. Success is a lonely road. It is paved with early mornings where no one is watching and late nights where no one is cheering. If you want to reach the highest level of your potential, you must learn to work in the shadows. You must be okay with being misunderstood or even forgotten for a while. The world is full of noise, people shouting about their plans, but the people at the very top are often the quietest. They don't need to prove anything to you because their results are undeniable. Ask yourself, Are you the master of your goals, or are you a servant to the applause of others? Cut the rope of social validation. Choose the silence. Let your progress be your secret, and let your results be your noise. If this story resonated with you, remember that greatness is built in private. Like and share this video to help others find their focus.